So we're now at the top of page 48 and we'll look at micrometers. Micrometer is a way of measuring really small objects precisely. And this may be new for some people, so we'll talk about it a little more carefully. So the first thing we do is we start by looking at the last number we can see on this part of the micrometer. The last number we see is a 5, and we'll think of that as like $5. We'll write it as hundreds, 500. So it's like $5 without the decimal. Then we see how many lines can we see between that number and the barrel at the end. And here we can see 2 lines. So we either need to be able to completely see the lines, or we need to be able to see that that barrel is on the line. Here we see 2 lines. The lines we think of as quarters. So if we see 2 lines, we want to write 50. If we see 1 line, we'd write 25. If we see 3 lines, we'd write 75. So they're quarters. Now at the end is this barrel. And the idea with the barrels, we want to see which number is lined up with this line straight across. That barrel goes from 0 and it ends at 24. So here we see the 5 is lined up straight across. So we would add those numbers together, 500, 50, and 5. We want to line them up on the right hand side. That's the next blank in step 4. And these really have decimals in front of them. There's always 3 numbers after the decimal with micrometers. So this would be, when we add them up, 0.555. And these micrometers are all measured in inches, so we need to label it with inches. So let's do a few of these. Let's look at number A. So the last number we see is 6. So we'd write 600. I can see 2 lines, just barely 2 lines after that 6. So I'd write 50, 2 quarters. And then we want to see what number is lined up here. So here's 0, and then it counts up. We can tell it counts up this way because it's 5. So this would be 1 and this would be 2. So we'd have a 2 here at the end. We put our decimals in front, add them up. We get 0.652 inches. Let's look at B. So B is a little hard to see, but you can, that barrel is sitting right at the 8. It's on the 8. So we'd start by writing 800. There's no lines after that 800, so we'd have 0 quarters. And then here we can see a 5 and we can see a 10. So the number right before that 10 would be 9. So we'd have 0.809 inches. Let's look at the next one, C. Last number we see is 4, so we'd write 400. We can see 1 line just barely after that, so it would be 25. And then lined up right here is a 0, so we'd have no pennies. So we get 0.425 inches. We'll skip D because it's a lot like C. We'll go on, look at E. So the last number we see is 5. We'd have 500. Then we see 1 line after, so that would be 25. And then here's the 0, and here's the 20 down here. And I told you earlier there's 20, it goes up to 24 on the lines. There's 25 spaces actually. But 0 would, when you get to 25, you're really getting back to 0. And because that would be the full quarter. You're cashing in your pennies for a quarter. So the line right before the 0 would be 24. So we'd have 24 here for our pennies. Put our decimal point in front, and add them up. We get 0.549 inches. Let's look at I. So here we'd have 300. There's 1 line after, so we'd have 25. It's the line right before the 20, so we'd have 19. Add them up. So we get 0.344 inches. And we'll do one more. Let's look at F. So F, there's no numbers there. We can't see anything except for that 0, so we have zeros. I can see 3 lines after the 0, so 3/4 would be 75. And then this is lined up 2 lines after 15, so it'd be 17. We'll add those up. The decimal point is here. Remember, there's really 3 numbers after the decimal each time. So we get 0.092 inches.